Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel, and we are back again with another installment of the story so far, where I take a closer look at a story in its completion so I can kind of do a deeper dive and, better examination than I would talking about it issue by issue. And today, we're talking about Countdown to Extermination. What is Extermination? Well, it's the brand new Mega X-Men event that drops this week at the time of recording, so I thought it would be fun to cash in on interest, educate you, and by extension myself, what exactly has been going on in the X-Men universe and what we can expect from the Merry Mutants moving to the future, because we are getting a lot of promises that this will be an event that carries with it some major change. Now, for anyone who follows me in my channel, you'll know I make no secret the fact that I basically checked out on X-Men in its entirety of sister books for basically the last couple years now. I pretty much was done at the last reboot, so the whole gold, red, blue era, the only things I know about it is stuff that I've seen and stuff that I've had people tell me about. But Countdown to Extermination I thought was actually a pretty slick idea, slick enough to kind of get me interested again, both in the main event and in making this video. Essentially what it is that they borrow the Marvel Cinematic Universe tactic of tacking on a little post-credit to each of the major ongoing X-Men books right now. They have one little scene at the end of it to get you excited for the upcoming event, and when you put all of these little stories together, they tell one bigger story that is basically serves as the prologue or as the zero issue for Extermination. So as we join the story, it's 20 years in the future, and it is a dark, soul-crushing dystopian future. I know, right? For the X-Men, this might as well be a day that ends in Y, so much to the point that Headmistress Kitty Pryde even makes reference to it, saying, this isn't the first time we've had our backs against the wall, and this is certainly not the first time we have been threatened by these particular foes, and those foes are the Sentinels, the crazy mutant hunting robots extraordinaire, which, I gotta admit, these characters, they've kind of really fallen by the wayside in the last little bit, or at least they've fallen by the wayside in terms of, actual threat and menace. It seemed like before, back in the day, when a Sentinel showed up, oh crap, it's a Sentinel, you better get scared. Now they're basically giant robot mooks. Now you have, Inhuman hunting Sentinels, and you have all these different types of Sentinels, and just, they're not scary anymore. They're not scary anymore, but I like this idea that this story is trying to make them a threat again, to be like, no, let's bring back the Sentinels to what people remember about them. Let's make Sentinels scary again, if that's even possible. The mutant school comes under attack, which I do believe is actually still situated in Central Park right now. I know that was a major change they made in X-Men Gold, but like I said, I haven't been keeping up with that book. I could be right, I could be wrong. What is important, though, is that the charge to defend the school and attack the Sentinels is being led in part by Cyclops, rocking a brand new blue costume. The big question is, which Cyclops is this? Is this the young Cyclops all grown up, or is this the older Cyclops returned? I mention this because one of the other big selling points of Extermination, and something they spoiled before the comic even came out, is that yes, this book will see the return of original OG Cyclops. They not only say they're going to be bringing him back, but they brought him back with the whole tagline that basically says, setting things right, which I'm sure is them talking about Cyclops, but also talking about the X-Men as a whole, because let's face it, there's been a lot of problems with the X-Men recently. In fact, I might dedicate the latter half of this issue going into what exactly the problem is and how I think Extermination is going to try and fix said problems. The rest of the Countdown to Extermination story basically plays out on that very similar pattern. Sentinels show up wherever all the different X-Men teams are, and they execute everyone. No one survives. Everyone dies, from X-Men Red to the Astonishing X-Men. Nobody gets out of it unscathed. They all die. This is a coordinated Sentinel attack being puppeteered by some evil force out there somewhere. This is the end of days for mutants, and we're getting to, see it with our own eyes up close and personal. Now, while that might not sound too interesting at first, and I gotta admit, I was even bored during the middle part, where things really ratchet up in the tension is actually in the Cable tie-in. You see, we see Cable post a mission, and his little arm thingy that lets him know about time travel. Again, like I said, I'm no mutant expert, I'm no X-Men expert, I wear that on my sleeve right there. Tells him that these events in the future, the X-Men's death, are sending horrible ripple effects throughout time and space, and it's causing a lot of damage, and it's freaking Cable out, and if he's freaked out, you know it must be serious, because he deals with stuff like this all the time. He's seen all the dark future X-Men timelines, and this is frightening him. And there it's more or less where the story ends. Like I said, this is a shorty. These were like one-page stories in the backup of 6 different X-Men books, but it does set the stage in a fairly interesting way. They're saying that, you know, Sentinels are back, time is going to be a major issue, and I think the other major thing is them talking about the marching orders for this series, and that is fixing what is broken, which of course begs us to ask the question, what is broken in X-Men right now? And the answer is a fair amount. I would say probably their biggest problem is the fact that they have been so inactive over the last 5 to 8 years because of the dick measuring contest going on between movie studios. Marvel couldn't make movies about them, Fox owned the rights, and they figured, well, hey, if that's the case, we're going to push the Inhumans then to take their place. We're going to downplay the importance of X-Men and X-Men related stories, even if it doesn't make any sense and even if it's at our own detriment, and they did that a fair amount. Another thing that they did, they tried a crazy move, and that is, so many of our X-Men characters, they've gotten so old and moving on now, and there's so much continuity, but people just want to read about the original team. What the hell do we do? So in comes Brian Michael Bendis, and his big idea was, we're going to have the original X-Men time travel from the past to the present, so you can have that team, and that team made up what was essentially X-Men Blue. But I don't think I'm telling tales out of school when I say I think they overstayed their welcome. I think they should have gone back way sooner, because it opened up way too many problems. And I truly do believe that Extermination, and I have this on good authority, will see the time-traveling X-Men dealt with, either by killing them, or by returning them to their timeline, or fusing the timeline, or doing something. In fact, the cover for Extermination basically tells that story that I'm saying right now, and this moment in time is kind of the perfect opportunity for Marvel to do this, because they seem to be cleaning house on everything Brian Michael Bendis worked on in his time, because obviously he has now jumped ship and is working over at DC Comics. They changed the continuity that he wrote regarding the symbiotes. That's different now. They're basically trying to delete all mention of the Ultimate Universe in regards to Miles Morales' Spider-Man, who was the Ultimate Spider-Man. So to try and clean up what was left with the X-Men really only makes sense. As we found out too at Comic-Con, Extermination promises to be the beginning of a much bigger rollout of mutant and X-Men-centric stories that seek to kind of, return them to their former glory. Obviously, of course, Blue and Gold are going to be getting canceled soon to be replaced with a brand new Uncanny X-Men. A writer has been picked, their script's done, but we're not going to get it right away. The first 10 or so issues are actually going to be a weekly series called X-Men Disassembled. Hey, like Avengers Disassembled. Isn't that interesting? It's going to be made up of a brain trust of X-Men writers, many of whom are writing books now, some who aren't. And you'll tell by looking at this piece of promo art we have, there's no young time-traveling X-Men in this one. They're all gone. And if I had to guess what this story is that it's going to try and be to the X-Men what Avengers No Surrender was to the Avengers, and that is, hey, let's get things back on track, but more importantly than that, let's get rid of some of these superfluous books, because there's like way too many X-Men books for anyone to keep track of and keep up with, unless you only read X-Men books, for which I know there are quite a few people who do that. The other big rumor flying around the X-Men at the moment is that C.B. Cebulski, Akira Yoshida, C.B. Cebulski, I got it right the first time. He is a massive X-Men fan, and not only does he want to return the X-Men to their former glory, but he actually wants to make them a centerpiece in the Marvel Universe again. He wants to bring it back to the 1990s when all the big events were X-Men, and X-Men was a must-read, must-not-miss book, to which I say, hey, you know what? More power to you. If anyone can do it, maybe it can be you. I know I don't like cutting the X-Men from my comic book diet. I would like to see them come back in force. I think, the Marvel Universe is richer for that because they have such a strong history and such a strong tie to the Marvel fan base. Another thing that they're doing, I think, to even try and get back wayward fans like myself, or fans who have found X-Men to be way too impenetrable recently, they have the X-Men books there that kind of basically retell the origins, but do it in like a very compact kind of way with like an art style that, you know, kind of represents and kind of, you know, tries to recreate what it was like reading X-Men back in the day. I think that's a very smart idea. Then, of course, you have X-Men Black, which will also be coming out in the wake of Extermination, and it is essentially a set of 6 stories, all from different writers, all focusing on a different X-Men villain, with a backup involving Apocalypse, which will itself feed into the new Uncanny X-Men title. So, yeah, that's basically the long and short of it, everyone. That's Countdown to Extermination. Be sure to catch my video talking about Extermination very soon, and also be sure to check out these other books when they come out. I can't promise I will cover all of them, but I'll definitely try, and the ones I miss, I will probably talk about on this show, if they're worth it. So definitely expect that. And remember, too, this is Extermination with an EX, not Extermination with an X. That was already an X-Men event. To think they've already gone through so many different event titles that have the letter X in them that they need to start spelling them differently. So yes, until we meet again, everyone, this has been Cape Joel. This has been the story so far. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back again next time. And as always, in the comment section down below, tell me what completed runs and volumes would you like to see me cover in a future episode. So until then, everyone, bye-bye.